First, want to thank our sponsors, the University of Minnesota Regional Sustainable Development Partnerships, Northeast Region. I want to thank the Energy Conservatory and Minnesota Power for making these webinars and this training program possible. And now, mostly, I want to thank Dana Saylor and Linnea Morgan for joining us today. They both work with the BlueGreen Alliance Foundation, a nonprofit organization that is part of the BlueGreen Alliance, which is a national partnership that unites labor unions and environmental organizations. They're going to tell you a little bit more about BGAF in their presentation today, which is called Health, Equity, and Economic Growth Through Energy Efficiency. Linnea is a program associate for the Building Clean project. Prior to her role at BGAF, Linnea spent several years working as a carpenter while gaining hands-on experience in natural building, affordable housing, historic home remodeling, and youth education. Linnea has a Bachelor of Science in Industrial Design from Virginia Tech and completed a Certificate of Building Science and Net Zero Design from the Yester Morrow Design Build School. Welcome, Linnea. Dana Saylor is the National Program Manager for the BlueGreen Alliance Foundation. She brings over 20 years in nonprofit coalition building and issue advocacy experience to BGAF and has worked in a variety of capacities in the environmental, labor, and manufacturing communities. Dana currently works as a part of BGAF's Building Clean project team, where she advocates for the use of healthy, U.S.-made, energy-efficient building products and works with building owners, contractors, architects, and other housing stakeholders to specify these products for their projects. So I know that the entire T3 cohort joins me in the warmest of welcomes to Dana and Linnea, and we look forward to hearing what you're going to share with us today. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I'm going to try screen sharing here now, see if I can make this work again. And is everyone seeing our slides normally? All right. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here, Rachel. We've been talking and working together for quite some time now, so it's exciting to see all your work as well as how we might be able to help contribute to your work and the cohort that you've put together here moving forward. So thank you. Obviously just want to thank everyone for joining and welcome folks on behalf of the BlueGreen Alliance Foundation and our Building Clean project. We already had a quick introduction. Again, I'm Dana Saylor, National Program Manager, and I'm joined by Linnea Morgan from BGA, and both of us work towards advancing goals of our Building Clean project, which we're here to talk about today. Building Clean is a project of the BlueGreen Alliance Foundation, a nonprofit 501c3 that was founded in 2006 as a project between the United Steelworkers and the Sierra Club. And we conduct research and educate the public and media about solutions to environmental challenges that create economic opportunities for the American people. A lot of that research and education is currently focused on building the clean economy, such as mapping jobs and growth opportunities in sectors such as advanced transportation and renewable energy. The Building Clean project works towards these goals by providing education and creating resources for builders to help them identify products that are efficient, U.S. made, free from the most hazardous substances, and cost competitive. And we have a particular interest in working with partners in the affordable housing community so we can help impact communities that need it most. And here's what we're hoping you'll learn today: where hazardous chemicals are found in building products and how avoiding them can protect resident and worker health, how marginalized communities are disproportionately exposed to inequities in the built environment, and how product choices can improve health and economic outcomes for people living in these communities, and which building product choices offer you the best opportunities to buy healthier products that are locally or regionally made, and how our buildingclean.org website can help you find them. So what is Building Clean? And this is the statement from the front page of our buildingclean.org website that summarizes the goals of our Building Clean project: improving efficiency, health, and equity in housing, and creating good jobs. And we seek to achieve these goals by increasing the use of building products that are more efficient, less toxic, and manufactured in the U.S., and aim to improve the physical, environmental, and economic health of communities and promote a more equitable future for all. And we like to say that building product choices matter, but why? With the historic funding that's been set aside for improvements in building efficiency through the new bipartisan infrastructure law and Inflation Reduction Act, Builders and others impacting these programs have an opportunity to make a difference in the lives of those living and working in the places they build. Selecting products that are U.S. and union made helps grow good quality manufacturing jobs in the U.S., while selecting building products that are free from harmful chemicals can positively impact the health of residents and workers. And these images that we have here are products that Building Clean recommended, actually, and were chosen for use in the construction of several Habitat for Humanity homes in Rochester, New York. The picture on the left is of a high-efficiency Bradford White heat pump hot water heater that is union-made in Michigan. And the picture on the right is Knauf mineral wool bat insulation, which is U.S.-made, formaldehyde-free, and Green Guard certified. And both of these choices were affordable in their purchase price and provided savings in energy and utility costs over the long term. So why does manufacturing in the U.S. matter? The story about the decreasing number of manufacturing jobs in the U.S. is not new, and this chart shows how the trade deficit has soared and millions of manufacturing jobs have left the country. 5 million manufacturing jobs in total between 1998 and 2021. Not only has this increased our dependence on foreign manufacturing impacted the American workforce, things like supply chain disruptions, rising material costs, and the high price of fuel for transportation are impacting all industries, including construction. So it is crucial that we increase our resiliency through the support of domestic manufacturing. And purchasing U.S.-made products supports the creation of manufacturing jobs, and manufacturing jobs pay more. So this graph from a recent report by the Economic Policy Institute shows that manufacturing jobs pay more than service sector job alternatives for non-college educated workers of all races. This same study found that 11.3% of manufacturing workers are unionized, providing better pay, benefits, and safer working conditions. With more informed purchasing decisions, people in the building industry can help grow jobs in the U.S. and contribute to the economic security of families in Minnesota and surrounding states. And so this map was actually generated from data we collect on our buildingclean.org website and shows that there are 230 building product manufacturers within 10 market sectors who are currently operating in Minnesota and Wisconsin. Additionally, the purchase of U.S. or locally made building products is mandated or incentivized in certain green building certifications. And this chart outlines multiple certifications that provide points for purchasing products made within a certain mileage from their project site. And the certification that has the strongest commitment to this provision is the International Living Future Institute's Living Building Challenge, where local or U.S. sourcing is mandatory for 75% of the products being used. And this is certainly an area we'd like to see incentivized in more certifications. Some offer a few points only for this. And, many are doing so given the transportation emissions reductions that come from products that are made close to the project site. So not only is there an economic argument, there's an emissions argument that comes with this. And a lot of those green building folks are really on board with that. So we want to encourage more of this. And so why do healthier product choices matter? Building products, both that we are installing through new construction and those that are present in older housing, contain chemicals that can impact our health. This graphic from the USGBC shows different building products and where and what hazardous chemicals are contained within them. We roughly spend 90% of our time indoors, where our largest exposure to pollutants occurs, and according to the EPA, concentrations of pollutants have been shown to be 2 to 10 times as high as those outside. And these issues are compounded by chemicals that make their way indoors from the outside and get embedded in products like carpet. And so how do building materials degrade? Very simply, building products off-gas and emit chemicals as they are exposed to the elements and go through wear and tear. And people get exposed by absorbing chemicals via skin contact, through ingestion, and through inhalation, where chemicals can hitch a ride on dust particulates so small that they can enter our lungs and our body does not filter them out. In fact, inhalation is the largest source of exposures, and proper ventilation is a way to mitigate exposure to these chemicals, especially as houses are tightened up for efficiency. This is a strategy, but not a total solution if products continue to increase exposure in air in other ways. And just going back to our product selection stuff, this is actually a photo of a Renew Air Energy Recovery Ventilator, ERV, which helps with indoor air quality. And Renew Air products are actually manufactured in Wisconsin and are an affordable brand we recommend it to Habitat for Humanity for their homes as well. Similar to how buying local can help you earn green building certification points, so can products that are low in or free from hazardous chemicals. Some green building certifications provide additional points for using healthier products while others require them. The main, again, certification requiring here is Living Building Challenge. Everything's mandatory, while as you can see, some others offer points, but always looking to improve that as green building certifications upgrade their standards. And I know this is a lot to look at here on the screen, but Building Clean took a comprehensive look at healthy building practices and building certifications to show which green building certifications incentivize or require various healthy building practices. And you can find the full resource on buildingclean.org under our resources and blog section of the site, but including with this, we'll be sharing this presentation, and we'll share a link to this resource and some other resources we'll talk about as well as we go on. So don't worry, you don't have to read this all on the screen. And now I'm going to hand it over to Linnea to talk a little bit more about harmful chemicals in building products.
Thank you, Dana. So there's many chemicals in building products, and it seems infinite. We're going to focus right here on 6. It's just because this is kind of entry level, you know. So PFAS, VOCs, styrene, formaldehyde, phthalates, and halogenated flame retardants are 6 chemicals that have substantial research linking them to various long-term health risks, and they are also present in many types of common building products. And it's important to learn about their impacts on human health in order to avoid the use of them as much as possible. So PFAS are a group of chemicals that are used in products to create oil, water, and stain repellency. They are often found in carpets, furnishings, adhesives, paints, and sealants. They pollute our environment and accumulate up the food chain into our bodies through contaminated food, drinking water, and dust. And they're called forever chemicals because they are so effective at what they do, which is repelling pretty much anything that they do not break down. So it's a very strong bond chemically. There is research linking PFAS in our bodies to birth defects, reproductive harm, cancer, and gene damage. And they've been getting a lot of news recently because the EPA and pretty much we're just having a collective experience of realizing how much PFAS is in our water sources. So you might have heard these recently. Next slide. So phthalates make plastics more flexible, and they are manufactured into products such as vinyl, carpet backing, waterproofing membranes, paints, coatings, adhesives, sealants, caulks, and glues. There is evidence linking phthalates to being carcinogenic as well as causing birth defects and reproductive harm. Children are especially vulnerable to phthalate exposure as phthalates are endocrine disruptors, which impact the development of children's bodies, which can also contribute to the development of asthma. Next slide, please. So VOCs are a very broad range of chemicals, volatile organic compounds, that evaporate into gases, which we then inhale. So they are emitted from carpet, vinyl flooring, paints, stains, composite wood, upholstery and foam, caulks and sealants, as well as many types of furniture, especially like furniture that you would buy at Target, for example. Anytime you see a warning sticker, the California Proposition 65, saying that it's known to cause cancer in California, it's pretty likely that it has a higher concentration of VOCs, just because they're so common. Next slide. So formaldehyde is a type of VOC. It's one of the most harmful ones, and it is a known carcinogen, and it has a pretty strong smell. It may be found in fiberglass, in mineral mineral wool bat insulation, and it is often used in composite wood products such as particle board, plywood, and fiberboard, and also in cabinetry, doors, and flooring. It's used in the binder, or in the glues as a binder. That's why I mentioned Target furniture at Target. It's often that if you just kind of buy like cheap composite wood furniture, that it will probably have formaldehyde in it. Next slide, please. So styrene is used in the production of polystyrene plastics and resins. It is found in EPS and XPS insulation and also in rubber flooring. Inhalation of styrene particles poses health risks to installers, and in the case of a fire, the smoke is very toxic. And it is a known carcinogen. Next slide, please. So halogenated flame retardants are a grouping of flame retardants that are added to foam insulations. There are many studies associating flame retardants with reproductive harm, asthma, birth defects, and endocrine disruption. They are very persistent types of chemicals that are being detected in human blood, in breast milk, and even in wild animals. Halogenated flame retardants are specifically found in EPS, XPS, and spray foam. Inhalation and ingestion of these chemicals can cause developmental issues in children and are associated with increased cancer risk, impaired neurological and reproductive development. So that was a lot of information, but I think it's, I don't know if the specifics are super necessary to understand as a builder. Like, you don't need to memorize all those things. I think it's just important to familiarize yourself with these types of chemicals so that we can do our best to navigate not including, like buying products that do not include them, which sometimes requires a little bit of research. So why does this all matter? It matters because vulnerable populations are the ones who are most susceptible to the harmful effects of these chemicals. And this includes children and the elderly, people with respiratory conditions, including asthma, those with weakened immune systems, those with limited access to healthcare, underserved and under-resourced populations, historically disadvantaged, disenfranchised, and marginalized groups, and those living in older or degraded homes. Next slide. So the amount of toxic chemicals that a person is exposed to and the impact that they would experience from those chemicals is tied to race and also income level. There is research spanning 5 decades which shows that children from low-income families and families of color are exposed to more neurotoxic chemicals and experience greater harm from them compared to young people from higher income and white families. Also, there's higher incidence of adverse birth outcomes, impaired fetal development, diabetes, and asthma. Neurotoxins, which include lead, particulate matter, pesticides, and phthalates, affect brain development and cause developmental delays leading to IQ loss, which just sets a child up to have a harder time in society. So want to avoid that as much as possible. And based on the chemicals that cause many of these health effects, we have identified opportunity to reduce heavy metals, VOCs, and phthalates, and that by focusing on those groups, that there's opportunity to improve the health of people of color in the built environment. Next slide, please. So, to further understand why people of color are disproportionately faced with these issues and exposures to pollutants, it's important to look at our country's history of colonization and racism. These are, not all of the stories of what people of color and different groups have had to face, but just gonna kind of summarize a little bit just so we can understand the context historically. Next slide. So yes, brief overview of issues facing Indigenous communities in regards to housing and health. So 32% of households on tribal lands live in poverty, with many households being overcrowded and lacking basic infrastructure necessities such as plumbing, electricity, and heating. These factors create indoor environments that can contribute to the development of health and respiratory issues, as well as the spread of disease. Additionally, federal laws make it easier for industries and businesses to access tribal lands, polluting the air, water, and land found around them. Additionally, climate destabilization and hazardous weather events make them more vulnerable and further underscores the need for housing that is healthy, climate resilient, and energy efficient. Next slide, please. So the racist practice of redlining has left a long history of injustice that is still prevalent today in most cities in the US. Those living in redline communities face greater poverty, poorer housing conditions, increased pollution, hotter temperatures, and less green space. They also face higher percentages of asthma in both children and adults. And in this map, you can see that areas with a higher number of asthma-related emergency department visits correlate with the redline neighborhoods. So what was put into law decades ago is still playing out today in the health of people. Next slide, please. So just further looking at the burden of asthma, which is a really big issue and is indicative of the work that we need to do in the indoor space. So Black Americans are nearly 1.5 times more likely to have asthma and are 5 times more likely to visit the emergency department due to asthma, and are 3 times more likely to die from asthma than white Americans. Puerto Rican Americans are nearly 2 times more likely to have asthma. Next slide. So setting all this up to understand that there's actually a lot of asthmagens that are present in building products. And when you put them in a home, they can either lead to the development of asthma, or they can exacerbate asthma symptoms and potentially, bring people to the hospital. So I'm not going to go over all of these, but we highlighted the ones. So styrene was one of the chemicals we went over before, found in XPS and EPS. Phthalates found in vinyl flooring, and that was the chemical that makes things flexible, makes plastics flexible, and formaldehyde, the VOC, that is found in laminates and engineered wood and that type of product. Next slide, please. So there is a better way to build homes that is safe for all residents with or without asthma. So there is a solution, and it is to build more effectively, avoiding asthmagens and avoiding conditions that exacerbate respiratory illness. So these Breathe Easy homes were a partnership between the Seattle Housing Authority, the American Lung Association, Enterprise Community Partners, and other local health organizations. It was in the High Point development, which targeted low-income families with children who were suffering from asthma or similar conditions. And it was on the site of previous low-income housing that was believed to have been the cause of respiratory issues for the residents. So they decided to redevelop the homes in a way that would increase the building's energy efficiency, as well as choosing low VOC paints, low VOC flooring, carpet that was low pile, and a mechanical ventilation system. Pretty much all these strategies that are here in the image. And sorry, I lost my point. Residents experienced 61% more symptom-free days and had 67% fewer emergency room visits. So the study was done and showed that when we do build in a way that is health informed, it does have results that influence the residents' life in a positive way.
All right. And so I'm going to now walk you through some, how do we make more informed product choices, and using product disclosures and certifications to do so. So this is the Venn diagram that we actually created of several key product certifications and ingredient disclosures. Just very generally, you don't want to look for products that are labeled green because they don't really guarantee anything, and you want to look for products that actually have these certifications. Over here, we have low VOC certifications. Linnea was talking about VOCs. And over on the other side, we have ingredient disclosures. I'll go into a little bit more about those. And then in the middle, we have here those certifications that indicate products that are free of the worst chemicals. Cradle to cradle certified products that are not gold or platinum are free of the worst chemicals, but they don't guarantee low VOC emissions. So those that would be those up here. And all of the other certifications on the low VOC side, so Green Guard, Green Label Plus, et cetera, these are all low VOC certifications. And for those products that carry a health product declaration or declare label, you'll also want to see that they are third-party verified. Otherwise, it's basically just manufacturers self-reporting product ingredients. And so I guess let's take a little bit of a deeper look into some of the product labels and certifications from the previous slide. Ingredient disclosures are not certifications, just like we were saying. They just really provide details on things like what the product is made of and where it's made. So a couple of the main ones are health product declarations. They contain manufacturing details, hazardous ingredients, physical and chemical properties, and fire and explosion hazard data. And declare labels show where the products come from, what it's made of, and where it goes at the end of the product's life. Building Clean is also ranked certifications that include the following ones among the best, and that they are the most, or that they are products that are free of the most hazardous content. So that includes those four here. So Cradle to Cradle certification is a third-party disclosed certification, which discloses material health, material reutilization, energy and water usage, and social fairness. Cradle to Cradle material health certificate is basically one of the steps on the way to the Cradle to Cradle certification. Living Building Challenge Red List free products are free of the worst in class materials, chemicals, and elements known to pose serious risks to human health and the greater ecosystem, and that are prevalent in the building products industry. And Living Product Challenge products are healthy and free of toxins, socially responsible, and respects the right of workers, and net positive and benefit both people and the environment. Product certifications on our better list include Green Seal, GS11 specifically for paints, coatings, stains, and sealants. The certification screens paints for the harmful chemical APE. And a certification, but also has ingredient content requirements. For example, it has limits on some hazardous content to 100 parts per million. And the Declare Living Building Challenge Red List approved. So for a manufacturer to claim that its product is LBC Red List approved, it must disclose 99% of ingredients and residuals present at or above 100 parts per million, or 0.01%. And the product may contain one or more red list chemicals, but only if it is covered by an established exemption. And we consider good certifications to include products that have low VOC emissions. So Indoor Advantage Gold, specifically for furniture and building products, Floor Score, specifically for flooring products and adhesives, Green Guard Gold, focus on products we use to build and furnish our indoor environments. So check Green Guard Gold for products that for additional formaldehyde-free verification. Green Label Plus, which is specifically for carpeting, pads, and adhesives. And Building Clean has all of this information on buildingclean.org, as well as sort of like a handy link to the good, better, best. So you can learn more about transparency, certifications, and how we rank them. And now I'm going to hand it back over to Linnea to talk about making more informed product choices.
Thanks, Dana. So yeah, this next section has a lot of information, just like it all, no need to think you're going to absorb everything right now. Take in as much as you can. We have a lot of guidance on our website if you feel like you need to have like more control over what you're looking at and more of a visual. So yeah, I'm going to jump right in. So insulation. Foam insulations are the most hazardous due to their toxicity from the presence of flame retardants, isocyanates, and styrene. Isocyanates being an asthmagen. So fiberglass and cellulose are two of the better choices. For cellulose, cotton, or natural wool insulation, look for products that use ammonium phosphate salt as the flame retardant instead of boric acid, and avoid insulating the interior of ductwork as the fibers from and the chemicals from the insulation can get into the HVAC stream and get into the air of the home. Next slide. The safest and healthiest insulation is cellular glass, wood fiber board, expanded cork board. Using mechanical fasteners instead of adhesives is one of the preferred methods to avoid using glues, which can often contain pretty gross chemicals. Cellulose is a better option, along with cotton, natural wool, hemp fiber insulation, as I said. Next slide. Sorry, that last one was for board insulation. Here we are for bat insulation. So yeah, I don't know if I'm going to go over all of these because it might bore you, but you can take a look. We have on the best side formaldehyde-free or Green Guard Gold fiberglass, and of course natural hemp line or hempcrete, which has been gaining popularity, which is great because it is very, it's clean. Wood fiber, loose fill and dense pack is also a really good option. And I know that these are kind of emerging technologies, so you might not have access to them in your projects, or might not be asked to do them just yet, or maybe never. But it's just good to know that they're out there. Cork as well. A better would be mineral wool, which would be formaldehyde-free or Green Guard Gold. It's important when you're picking fiberglass or mineral wool to be making sure that it is formaldehyde-free. And then for good, yeah, cellulose, cotton denim, craft face fiberglass bats. There can be some trace chemicals in there that can sometimes be not as great, but still overall a pretty good choice. Next slide. So children under the age of 6 are especially vulnerable to chemicals present in flooring, as they spend more time on the floor, have a higher incidence of hand-to-mouth behavior, have higher levels of absorption, faster inhalation rate, smaller body mass, and experience rapid central nervous system development. So it's important when choosing flooring to think about that there may be children living there in the future, and to really just make your choices for the children. We recommend avoiding vinyl products, but if you must use them, be sure that they are phthalate free and do not contain recycled content. Next slide. The safest alternatives for flooring would be pre-finished wood flooring, linoleum, concrete flooring without any PFAS densifiers, so those are the stain repellents, or US-made ceramic tiles that do not contain recycled content, because weirdly there are sometimes crushed up cathode ray tubes in those tiles. Better choices are PVC-free resilient flooring or low VOC certified wood and laminate. And if you're refinishing a hardwood floor, it's important to use low VOC stains or finishes. And we recommend avoiding carpet whenever possible because it can hold a lot of dust and chemicals that migrate, into the dust and just kind of sit there getting kicked up. But if it's necessary, be sure to go with one that has a third-party certification, preferably one of the higher tier ones like Red List Free or Cradle to Cradle. Next slide, please. Sealants that react on site, such as spray foam, are the most hazardous and should be avoided whenever possible. It's not always possible to avoid using spray foam, but I think the general goal is if you can find an alternative, use it. Spray foam and other wet applied polyurethane sealants contain hazardous isocyanates, which are described as a leading cause of workplace asthma. Also, watch out for products that contain phthalates or are marketed as antimicrobial. And avoid silane modified polymer sealants, as many of them have been tested and known to contain phthalates. And caulk sealants are preferred to spray foam whenever possible. Acrylic-based sealants are also preferred, and best that they be low VOC. Look for products with Green Guard Gold certification or Indoor Advantage on these ones. Next slide. So drywall products with high natural gypsum and low synthetic gypsum content are preferred. So look for natural over synthetic for drywall. Additionally, low VOC certified drywall compound is considered best. And there are Red List free product options for exterior sheathing if you wanted to go in that route. But really it's most important that that any product within the air barrier is where you use your highest level of scrutiny. If you can't focus on making the exterior of the house as clean, then just focus on what's within the air barrier, because that will impact the indoor air quality most. So for paint products, look for GS11 certified paints, which are low VOC and APE free. So APE free is, APE are chemicals, I cannot pronounce it, but they are endocrine disruptors and they are known to be in paints. Otherwise, better choices would be no and low VOC paints with any product label. It's also important to note that paint tints have their own VOCs in them. So if you want to have really low VOC paint, you have to also ask for the tints to also be low VOC. Can go next slide, please. So we recommend choosing Energy Star fiberglass and wood windows and doors, and avoiding the use of vinyl when is possible. For interior doors, look for CARB Phase 2 compliant products with low formaldehyde. CARB Phase 2 will indicate that they've been tested to contain lower amounts of formaldehyde. Next slide.
All right. Thank you, Linnea. I'm going to jump back in and then talk about finding building products that are free of hazardous chemicals, made in the U.S., and how can you do that? So, making it easy to find building products that include the characteristics we've talked about today is important and key to making the kinds of changes we want to see in the built environment. And this is the front page of our buildingclean.org website, which offers a way to search for both building products and manufacturers of building products so you can find items that meet your efficiency, health, and local sourcing needs. And from here, you can, basically all of these 10 product sectors that we include, search through over 3,500 US manufacturers of building products who make products that are certified energy and water efficient. And we also include manufacturers of water filtration systems, given how important clean water is to a healthy home. And I think I would encourage anyone to just go and do some search here on our website. This is not a live demo, but from that front page, you can find our Find Manufacturers tab at the top of it, where you can find our advanced search. And so this sort of encompasses all the different ways you can search through manufacturers in our database, and multiple attributes including product type, state, material, company ownership. And you can also identify facilities that have union workers and ones that are minority, women, veteran, or disadvantaged business enterprises. So this is something I feel like very unique that Building Clean brings to the conversation. There's some other ways you can search for healthier or efficient products, but this conversation around how are we finding U.S. and union-made stuff, this is something that's unique to the information we collect. So I would highly encourage folks to go on there and see how many of those facilities I pointed out in Minnesota have that union status and MWDBE status, and it's a great tool for that. And one other interesting thing about our Building Clean tool is that, and you can also find this on that front page of our site, is our zip code search, where you can identify manufacturers within a certain mile radius of your project site. So several of the radius choices you see right here, it's sort of auto defaults to 100 miles. But the drop-down menu corresponds with mileage requirements for local sourcing points in the green building certifications that we talked about earlier. So hopefully making it easier for you to identify manufacturers and eventually products that qualify for those points. BuildingClean.org also provides a way to search for thousands of building products that carry these labels and certifications for efficiency and hazardous content. And through our partnership with Ecomedes, some of you may be familiar with them. They actually create tools for the federal government to do all of their sourcing for products that meet all the needs and sort of qualifications that the federal government sets aside for working on a lot of commercial buildings, but buildings in general. And through this, Building Clean provides access to information on thousands of energy efficient and healthier building products, many of which are being made by manufacturers in our Building Clean database. Search options include Energy Star and WaterSense qualified products with eco labels and certifications that we already talked about, and products that qualify for LEED, Living Building Challenge, WELL, and Green Globe's building certification. So we kind of went over some of that already, but this is the portal where we have access through our main site where you can do these specific product searches. And we're also in the process of adding our Building Clean facility data with Ecomedes product level data to add information like manufacturing location, union presence, and MWDBE status to the product pages. So basically, you can go to our Building Clean site and search for manufacturers, and then you can go to the Ecomedes portal and search for products. But what we're trying to do now is blend all of that information to make it as seamless as possible. So this page shows information in our Ecomedes portal that is of that Bradford White heat pump hot water heater we discussed at the beginning of this presentation. So again, trying to expand our information, keep it up to date, make it most accurate, and find ways to make our tools more seamless. So we sort of just built out this part of our website recently. We still kind of consider it in a beta phase, but we're pretty much getting close to saying that we're out of that beta phase at this point, and are sort of moving forward strongly and feeling very confident about the data that we've researched here. So to sum it up, buildingclean.org aims to help you find the answers to 4 equally important questions about building products. Is it efficient? Is it a healthier product? Is it made in the US? And is it made by union workers? And so please let us know how we can help you in making your building product choices matter on your next project.